Welcome back to Hannity and Colmes. I'm Alan Colmes. Operation Allied Force moved into its second phase, and NATO says the bombing is, quote, a long way from being over. If airstrikes were supposed to stop Serb leader Slobodan Milosevic's reign of terror in Kosovo, it appears they've so far failed. Serbian forces have reportedly stepped up the violence, forcing thousands of Albanian refugees to flee. So is bombing helping or hurting the situation? And are the Serbs really the murderers people say they are? In Washington, James Hooper, the executive director of the Balkan Action Council. Here in New York, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis, director of the Military Readiness Project at the Family Research Council. Staying with us is former Congressman Joseph Dioguardi, the president of the Albanian American Civic League. We were to talk to Congressman Jim Traficant of Ohio. He got delayed on a plane. We hope he'll be with us later this week. Colonel McGinnis, welcome back. Good to see you in person this time on Hannity and Colmes. First time we all had a chance to meet.
By the way, Alan, he used to box in West Point, so I'd be careful. Now, we just tell
you notice how the right wing tries to intimidate the left wing? They try these tactics of intimidation. We can respectfully disagree, although we may agree on some of this. Isn't this how World War II got started back in 1914? Foreign countries going into the Balkans to further cause an already heated conflagration.
Well, I don't know if the Balkans are really the cause of World War II. Certainly,
World War
it's questionable.
World War I.
You know, you had a series of alliances with Russia, Hungary, and Austria going into kind of get involved in an ethnic battle in the Balkans. So I think it's more of an alliance military tension type of situation rather than a cause.
Don't we risk further endangering the area by getting other countries involved? Refugees now already fleeing to neighboring countries. And who knows how long it might be before these neighboring countries could be involved.
Well, that's true, Alan, but in fact, we have 10,000 troops right now in Bosnia, so I don't think Milosevic has any desire to invade Bosnia. After all, we just kicked him out 5 years ago. That's why we had the Dayton Accord. And also Macedonia, we have 10,000 troops. So I really don't think Milosevic is interested in anything other than retaining Kosovo, which has been part of Yugoslavia since 1918. It's like one of our states breaking off from the United States.
James Hooper, if that's true, why does NATO belong there?
NATO's there for three reasons. First, to stop the genocide that's taking place. Secondly, to prevent this conflict from spilling over and creating a broader regional conflict. And third, because NATO is committed to enforcing the ceasefire there. Mr. Milosevic signed an agreement with U.S. Special Envoy Richard Holbrooke last October that committed NATO to keep the peace, to enforce the ceasefire. If NATO backed down from this, as it had actually from several earlier threats last year, it would have been the end of NATO's credibility and, frankly, the end of the credibility of the United States.
Right. Colonel, let me bring you in. By the way, we're going to talk about history. The only time war came out of the Balkans in 1914 was when the big powers went in. There was war there in 1912 and 1913 when the big powers stayed out. You didn't have World War I, correct?
That's
historically speaking. All right, I want to ask you something that we had this stealth bomber shot out of the sky. Right. Thank God they were able to get this pilot.
How did that happen?
What?
How did that happen?
Well, you know, they're supposed to, we weren't supposed to be able to pick up one stealth. Well,
I mean, how did it get shot out of the sky?
Well, that's a good question. But my question is, we see these people dancing and little kids getting their picture taken on top of our stealth bomber. Do we have any risk to our national security that some of that technology is now going to be stolen and handed over to Russia and any of these other countries, or they have it already?
Yeah, well,
they got it from the Chinese.
They probably got it from the Chinese. You know, when we shot all those missiles into Sudan last August,
right.
2 of those were duds, and of course they ended up in Chinese hands. So we can now buy cruise missiles at a discount from the Chinese.
Right.
So those are the things that we risk by playing games like this in cases where it's really not.
So, Colonel, you are saying that there is a significant case to be made that there will be a transfer of stealth technology by this plane being either shot down, however it actually came down.
Well, you know, I'm sure it's going to go to the highest bidder. Milosevic is a good businessman, and if the Chinese are in the market, which they probably are, they'll pay for it.
But, you know, he said that Kosovo was part of Serbia since 1914. Do you know where it was before 1914?
Nowhere, Congressman.
It was part of Albania. It was part of the state of Albania that came out of the Ottoman occupation on November the 28th, 1912. So how do you believe the Serbs that this is their Jerusalem? You know what they should bomb? They should bomb the information capacity of Mr. Milosevic, the lies from Tanjug. They should drop a bomb on that TV station.
Well, you'd like to see that. Maybe eventually
Why not?
They will. Listen, I'm going to say
the lies are incredible.
If you were to believe the president, we'll throw this to Colonel McGinnis. I asked you this in the last half hour. If you're to believe that genocide is being committed, there's some debate going back and forth about whether or not the numbers, the comparisons to Hitler are accurate, fair, and just, or is it hyperbole to get American support. But if it is genocide, if it really is, and that case is compelling, then the president ought not telegraph that he's not going to use ground forces, and he ought to just go in and clean it up and get it over with, no?
Yeah, the Colin Powell doctrine is two parts. You go in there with everything you have to win. And if you don't know how you're going to get out, don't go in to begin with.
There is no end game here.
There's no end game. And there's an interesting rule on civil wars. First of all, if you do, pick a side, and if you pick a side, make sure they win. And obviously, we're not doing
We're
well.
going to take a break right there. Do you want to see American ground troops fighting in Yugoslavia? Call us, 1-888-TEL-FOX. Your call's coming up later in the program. We'll be right back on Hannity and Colmes.
That Bill Clinton's ambassador of goodwill. Welcome back to Hannity and Colmes. I'm Sean Hannity. Still lots more to come tonight. Your calls at Video Graffiti is straight ahead. But right now we continue our debate over the war in Kosovo. All right, I got to tell you something, and we'll stay if we can. And James Hooper, I'll ask you this. I was flabbergasted that the administration did not even anticipate the scope of the Serbian attack against the ethnic Albanians as a result of the NATO attack against them. There was no provisions made to set up any refugee camps, no attempt to assist these people. Do these people in the Pentagon and White House know what they're doing here, James? What's going on?
Well, I think the question is, how do we stop this genocide that's taking place now? And I think there are a couple of things that have to be done. First, the administration has to lift the restrictions, the targeting restrictions that they have placed on NATO bombing. For example, NATO cannot strike at any target in Serbia or in Kosovo that is within 1,500, where within 1,500 feet of that target, there might be a building where there are civilians located.
James, let me ask you one question
for example, the
on that.
Ministry of Interior in Belgrade cannot be hit.
But my only point about my question was, are we now hurting by almost instigating Serbian atrocities and aggression towards the ethnic Albanians because of the NATO attacks? Are we hurting the very people we purport to help in this whole crisis?
No, this ethnic cleansing was underway last year. The war began in late February of last year.
But now they're leaving town, and they're refugees all over the place.
Yes, but they had driven out over 500,000 ethnic Albanians from their homes before the ceasefire in October, killing over 2,000 people, destroying over 20,000 homes and over 490 villages.
You know, if we lift some of those restrictions, Colonel McGinnis, aren't we going to kill more civilians? This is going to be less popular war. We're going to be in more trouble. It's going to be more of a disaster if we do that.
At least 20% of the cruise missiles miss their target, Alan. And if you try to shoot too close to civilian population, you're going to kill civilians. If you drop B-1 bombs, if you bought bombs out of B-52s, and you take A-10s, they're pretty accurate, but they aren't accurate enough to keep from killing
Congressman Dioguardi,
civilians.
we're in a box here. If we play this to win, we kill innocent civilians. If we don't, it drags on and on and on. Either way, it's a disaster.
Well, I think if the Serbian people saw that they were losing a lot of their sons and daughters and relatives, they might be putting some pressure on Milosevic.
Milosevic is going to listen to them? All of a sudden, Milosevic is going to be responsive in a democratic manner to the people of his country?
I remember pictures in Romania, you know, where you couldn't get rid of the Ceausescus, but finally they were chased like dogs into the courtyard and shot, and that's what's going to happen to Milosevic. His people can only be fooled so long.
Well, you're hoping on a dream that might happen. There's no guarantee of that.
We will take a break. We'll come back. We'll continue. Also, more of your calls. 1-888-TEL-FOX as we continue the special edition of Hannity and Colmes. Thanks for being on board.
Welcome back to Hannity and Colmes. I'm Alan Colmes. In our next segment, Video Graffiti, you get one sentence on the crisis in Kosovo, so make it a good one. Stay tuned for that. Right now, we continue with James Hooper, the Executive Director of the Balkan Action Council, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis, Director of the Military Readiness Project, the Family Research Council, and former Congressman Joseph Dioguardi, the President of the Albanian American Civic League. Mr. Hooper, let me go to you. What's this doing to our relationship with our allies? Some of our allies are not on our side on this. Russia, another member of NATO, not at all happy about this. It's only going to hurt our relationship with the former Soviet Union. And should we take that into consideration as we go forward?
I think the allies have been holding together very well, and I think the president has actually been exercising some pretty good leadership of the alliance on this. If he had backed down, as he had before when making threats, then no one would have believed in his credibility any longer.
We have Prime Minister Primakov on a plane coming here. Don't even give him the courtesy of letting him know what we're going to do, so he has to turn around to go back. That's a diplomatic faux pas, isn't it?
No, it's not. I think we signaled to him that that he needed to was going to have to back off on this because there was going to be bombing while he was here.